Be a Baller. Welcome to Be a Baller, where we discuss how to build a lifelong legacy. I'm your host, Coach Tim Brown. Today I'll be talking about building a legacy in faith and sports with Cleveland Glenville High School football and track coach and founder of the Ginn Academy, all-boys high school in Cleveland.
Before we get started, let's hear a word from our sponsor.
Good players win games. Great players break records. Legends change the game and share their faith. This is Ry DeRazio, Executive Director of the Central Ohio Fellowship of Christian Athletes, inviting you to attend the 24th Annual Lunch with the Legends on Thursday, April 20th at Villa Milano. This year, we are excited to honor former OSU football legend, Executive Director of the Driven Foundation, motivational and corporate speaker, Riverboard President Roy Hall Jr. Join us in celebrating Roy's athletic success and his extraordinary passion to inspire people, athletes, and coaches to be followers of Jesus Christ. The Legends Luncheon helps raise support that fuels FCA to serve coaches and athletes of Central Ohio. Get your Lunch with the Legends tickets today at centralohiofca.org/events. Wellstone Tax Advisors is proud to support the Central Ohio FCA.
Today on our show, Coach Ginn is going to share his experience in building not just a football program legacy, but also saving the lives of young men who expose them to the Word of God. He is known as the Good Shepherd, protecting children from the ills of society. Coach Ginn, welcome to Be a Baller podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I've been looking for, I was just sharing that we've been at this for about 30 years. We met at FCA camp.
Man, those were good times, man.
Oh, man, it was great. So, Coach, can you talk about growing up? You grew up in Franklin Town, Louisiana.
I was born in a town called Bogalusa, stayed in Franklinton. And then there was a suburb of Franklinton, which was a little town called Clifton. And that's where we stayed. I was on the farm. We grew everything and stuff like that. We probably a little bit ahead of our time. I stayed with my grandparents. We were the first people to really have running water and not having a well that you had to go draw it. We had a little store that we had, the neighborhood store, and we had probably one of the first people to have a bathroom. Not just the outhouse, stuff like that. So I'm a country boy, staying in Clifton during segregation time. Our land connected with another land of a guy that was a Ku Klux Klan, Mr. Benny King, So I had all those experiences, coming up in the South during segregation time.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about your grandparents.
Yeah. Well, everything that I do and everything that I stand for basically probably came from my grandmother. My grandmother, grandfather, we had our own church. So we was in church all the time. I was the custodian. You know what I'm saying? So the church was Lear Hill, and that was the name of the church. And my grandmother was named Lear, not my immediate grandmother, but my great-great-grandmother. And the church, they said, started on the back porch of our home. And then we built the church right next to our house and stuff like that. But my grandparents raised me till I was about 11 years old before I came to Cleveland. And my grandmother just taught me all the core values of life. They was real strong Christians. Everything I did was a sin. So, I came up through stuff like that. I was a little mischievous kid, only child. And just, all I knew was church, farming, and living on the land,
Living on the land, yeah. That's good stuff. Hey, you are truly a Cleveland man through and through, How has Cleveland and particularly the Glenville community impacted your life?
Yeah, well, everything that I'm doing in my life today came through Glenville. I went to Glenville and back then you can just about pick your career through high school. So I was a machinist, and I learned that at Glenville. I went in the industry. And once at 19, my mother died. So then my coach at Glenville made me come down to the field. And at that time, when we was children, we didn't never question why somebody tell you to do something. You just obey.
Just did it, right.
So one day after I got back from burying my mother in the South, Coach Hubbard said, "Come down here and show this boy how to snap the ball." I didn't think nothing of it. So I went down. I was honored to do it. He said, "Okay, I'll see you tomorrow." I showed the boy how to snap the ball.
Yeah.
And I say, "Okay." He said, "And then I see you the next day." This is about the third day. So I said, "Now what did he keep asking me to come down here for?" You understand? But that was his way of keeping me close, because I lost my mother and I was the only child, and he wanted to make sure I didn't go astray. Then the third day, he tell me, "Go down and teach the boy Saturday. I want you to clean the bathroom up." I'm going, "What's up with this dude?" You know what I'm saying? But then after a while, I figured it out that, that was his way of keeping me close and made me coach.
Oh, it's a great story. It's a great story.
No, I was just making sure that everything that I did at Glenville is what I do today. I got my coaching job. I started a school. I got the football team. I got the track team. I work in the community. But it all came from Glenville.
So, I know you're a strong man of faith. How has your faith helped to guide you to your life purpose?
Well, I think that growing up in the South, all I knew was church, and then all I knew was the core values that my grandmother and my grandfather taught me. But you have to have faith to live in America. And so when you ask me that kind of question at this age, I know that we was all saved to serve. So my faith have to be in front, because it's my responsibility just like it's yours. So I believe in what I do. I believe in it because God gave up his begotten son so we all can live. And the light that he left into the gift that he left was the light. The light is service. So that's why I know my faith has to be where it's at, because my job is to serve.
I know you're very much involved with the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and you once said that FCA is not a program; it's a way of life. I know it's been a big part of your football program and just period. How has FCA's presence impacted the lives of young men through the years?
Well, I always felt that once I was introduced to it, I didn't even know this kind of thing was going on. And once I found out about it, when I became the head football coach, I was going to FCA camp prior to that, but that was something that I had to implement into the program, because the kids don't know why they here. They just think that things that they do in life is based on their strength, and they don't understand it's come from Christ. You know what I'm saying? And I still go back to that thing, like with your grandmother. They used to take the Bible and church and all that and scare the devil out of you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I use the same concept to do that, but then make it relevant to their life and understand that you have to be thankful that you are here, and that your gift, your talent don't come from you. It comes from God. And FCA was the glue that holds my program together even today. You understand? And it's more needed today than it was yesterday.
You received a lot of awards recently and just through the years, but one, you were inducted to the FCA Hall of Champions. You describe that honor. How was that honor for you?
That was another honor that I'm going to hold close and dear to my heart. It's all about Christ. It's all about serving. And that was an honor that can explain what my life is about. And I appreciate them choosing me. but it really just shows that what I believe in. And, I'm not really big on all these different honors, but that one was real special to me.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier how you come full circle with the Glenville football program as a player. I understand you're a volunteer coach. That volunteer coaching turned into 10 years, volunteering.
Yeah. I volunteered for 10 years and didn't get paid from 76 to 86. And then it became a way of life, and I seen the influence that I had over young people and understand that I could, the power of coaching and mentoring is to be able to change somebody's thoughts and lead them in the right direction. And then I saw how I could influence young people like that. And it just exploded. And that's just something that I really love to do.
Yeah, I know you probably have had many opportunities, I'm sure, with that success at Glenville to take another job, so to speak. What is it about the Glenville community that keeps you at the Ville? What is it about that tar blood that keeps you there?
Yeah, well, we have a different mindset here at Glenville, and we have a different mindset in our community. A lot of great people came through here way before me. And it's the mentality of the Glenville community. But the main thing is that, I've had opportunity to go other places, but my heart is not in anywhere else. My heart is here in Cleveland and Glenville community, because that's been the problem. I've never, ever coached trying to coach as a career. I coach as a purpose, and our purpose was here. And, it wasn't about the money, still not about the money, because we don't make no money. You know what I'm saying? So it's just being able to leave an impact in a community, which leaving an impact in the world, and setting tables here to be able to give direction. And, I never coach for all this stuff that people coach for. I coach for a purpose. I don't coach as a career.
That's good. Can you talk a little bit about your bride? I know all support she's given you throughout this journey.
Yeah, well, one thing that I could say, that no success for any man without having a good woman. My wife has endured a lot to be with me, for me to serve and help other people, and she have to be a part of that. Might not have been her way of life, you know what I'm saying? Right. But, she stuck by me, and she, it could have been a different thing, you know what I'm saying? A lot of wives don't understand purpose, don't understand what you do as a man sometimes, but I was serving people, serving God, and the sacrifice that she had to give, just like my children, my grandchildren, the sacrifice that they have to give for me to be who I am in this world, of having a purpose of serving so many other people. I can't really explain to you the words that I can tell you. Just thank God that He gave me her.
Yeah. And I like what you said about the fact that your wife understands the purpose, and the sacrifices, and willing to, and your children as well. I think people don't realize the sacrifice that a coach makes, but also a sacrifice that the wife and the family makes. It's a lot of time to win this. It's a lot of time, and it's great to have, like I said, the success of any man. You got to have a good woman with you.
Absolutely,
no doubt about that. As we talk about those influences, I know you mentioned Coach Hubbard and some other persons. Can you talk about some people that have had some influence on your coaching philosophy? What did you see about those guys as far as their philosophy of coaching?
Well, I think that being around coaching for a long time, and watch how other people did, and I can go back to Coach Hubbard and people that I was around, it's things that I knew he wanted to do but couldn't do. And it was things that he done that he wasn't able to do because of the right staff. You know what I'm saying? the right purpose. And I just think that I saw those things. I saw things that I wasn't going to do. So the influence that I would have as a coach, I think most of when you talk about coaching, it probably was Matt Chinchar.
Mm.
You understand? That's coaching. And then the ideal of Matt Chinchar believing in the philosophy of my purpose.
Yeah.
So all that kind of influence, and that's just right next to me. Mm. And we've been together, everybody that came and went, but Matt Chinchar and Frank Street have been with me forever. And I've had tons of people come and go, but it was just God that put this together. So if you're talking about the X's and O's, I learned a lot from him. Mm. I learned a lot for organization and stuff like that from Matt. And then he's my friend. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But my philosophy has been my philosophy when it comes to football and how I play it and how I coach it. I still have that, but that just came within. Right. But when you oversee the whole thing, I think with Matt Chinchar teaching me and showing me, because he was an older coach before I was, he was a head coach before me. And this my ideals. He helped me a lot to organize and learn football. And then I learned myself, I taught myself. But other than that, I would think it's hard for me not to say Matt.
Right, that's good. That's good.
Hey there, Clark Kellogg here. Building a legacy usually involves meeting the unique needs of others and being part of something bigger than yourself. That's why I love First Merchants Bank. First Merchants believes that helping communities prosper means more than just providing banking services. It means offering accessible financial education, expanded access to homeownership, and partnerships with local nonprofits to help raise up neighborhoods and lift families out of financial hardship. For resources and tools available to you, visit www.firstmerchants.com. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Speaking of that, what advice would you give to some of these young up-and-coming coaches? I know times have changed. You've been doing it for 40 years of change. The way of life has changed. What advice would you give to some up-and-coming coaches?
Well, try to find somebody that is seasoned. You know what I'm saying? And there's nothing new under the sun in coaching. See, if they don't have a purpose or a philosophy of why they're coaching, and they think it's all about a win or loss, you're already in the wrong game. I think that you have to have a philosophy and a purpose to coach to help children. And in today's time, you have to come up with a scheme. But the first scheme you better come up with, you don't have no spiritual base. If God ain't in it, you can't win it. You know what I'm saying? So I would give you that advice first, because there's so much that the young people are being exposed to that we weren't exposed to. That's one thing. The next thing is that they don't love the game. No kid today love football like we did.
I say that one again. You guys say that one again, boy. Well, they don't love the game.
They don't love the game. You know what I'm saying? They just play the game. Yeah. And they're just good enough just to play, and you have to come up with a philosophy and a scheme to break that. So you got to fight all the time, because everything is ATM, everything is fast. I need it right now, and I don't want to put the work in, and I don't have to be I don't have to be respectful. I don't have to do none of that. So, I just want to stay title. I had 80-something kids. Not one of them loved the game. Not one. They naturally think after game 10, they'll tell you they want to go 16 games, but they mind and they stuff. They don't really want to do it.
Right. That's a long season. That's a long season. Get a little cold out there.
Yeah. And they don't. And then you got groups of kids that not playing. So you got to come up with something to keep them all together. So I used different scriptures and different things and did my own chapel and made it relevant. And that's how I made it through.
Good. That's a good word there. It's a good word. You know, your commitment to young men on the football team, it feels legendary. Where did the idea come about to pack a player in your car, Pierre Woods, and take him around all these colleges for exposure? You know, where did that idea come from?
Well, it's studying the game. It's studying what was happening before I became a head coach. Okay. You know what I'm saying? I never could understand why the colleges wouldn't come to us. Mm-hmm. So I said, they ain't got to come to me. I'm going to take me to them. You know what I'm saying? So I would take my kids, put them in the car, and I drove Pierre Woods about 4,000 or 5,000 miles across the country, right. and showcased him. So that's kind of how I started with the bus tour and the van. That right there caused a problem in NCAA. You didn't know that, did you? If you go back, you go back to Sports Illustrated, Pierre was on the front of the magazine.
Cover magazine, yeah.
And that story was about what they call the Ted Ginn rule now. Because they said that man up there in Ohio took that boy and said I was breaking rules to go all over the country to get him exposure. And, that they had that rule in NCAA that you couldn't really offer a kid when they come to camp because of what I done. You know what I'm saying? So but I think that they done changed that since then.
Right. Yeah, it's just about exposure. Like you said, they won't come to you.
But I'm going to go to them. And then it came. Then it came with the bus tour. So
the bus tour, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember you were coming. There was kids. I live here in Columbus, Ohio. There was kids. You was taking our potential Ohio State players on that bus, man. You was messing us.
Absolutely, give them exposure.
Yeah, you taking our kids, but like I said, you can't be what you don't see, and just give them that opportunity. Not only have you exposed him, but in your coaching, you've assisted over 300 student athletes, and attending college or whatnot. Tell me some of those stories about guys. We know your son. We know Dante. We know those guys who made it to the league. What about some of those? Can you share some stories about some of those other guys? Who went to college, played football, but now they're doing something else.
Yeah. Well, right off the top of my head, the ones that didn't go to pros, I think about him. He went to Yale.
Wow.
And he graduated from Yale.
Yeah.
And he came here, and he was Jamaican type, whatever.
Okay.
So he played football with me. He got a scholarship to Yale. So one day he came home, and Yale and Harvard that's their rivalry, right?
Right.
So he came home. I was sick that time. He came to my house and he said, "Coach, I don't understand these players." I said, "What you talking about?" He said, we was playing Harvard. The ball fell on the ground. The quarterback jumped back. I dove on the ball. I said, "Man, did you see the ball fumble?" He said, "Yeah." He just jumped back. He said, "Well, go in the locker room." And I said, let's go. And then he said to everybody to sit there and look at him like something wrong with him. I said, "Let me tell you something, son." I said, "You're not a Glenville. Those people that you sit next to, some of those people, parents got money, got their face on money. You know what I'm saying? From whatever country they came from, So I said, "Man, you're not at Glenville, you at Yale." I said, "Some of those kids, their parents' face probably on money. They're not there for football. They're there to run the country, to do different things like that. It's football. They're not, they read there, they probably gonna be president of the country or whatever. They're gonna run the United States." He said, "Oh, okay." But that's one kid now. He's here back in Cleveland. He's doing a real big real estate thing. Okay. So that's one kid, but it's tons of kids, man, that just came through here that wasn't football players. I got I had a kid that graduated from West Point, but he never played football here, but I made him the captain.
Right. Okay.
He's the captain. I don't even play. I said, "Coach, you got good leadership." And you go to West Point. And he ended up had to fight him to go to West Point, man. Yeah. So Oh, it's stuff like that, stories like that, that people say, well, how you going to make this guy? He's not even a player. But a good leader. He went to West Point, graduated.
Wow, that's a powerful story. Powerful story. You just won the state championship in football. First Cleveland City School to do that. First team to win that. Talk about the impact that had on the community, on the Cleveland City Schools community.
Well, I tell you that right there, it had a real big impact. Not so much just Glenville, but for the whole city of Cleveland, and a lot of the suburban areas and some of the private schools. People are so proud of that. Because in 100 years somebody tried to do it, and we've done it. You know what I'm saying? But it was real exciting for the city to have a parade. I didn't expect all that. I mean, they shut the whole city down, businesses, and we went down St. Clair. Like we had just won the NBA basketball championship. And it was big, man. We had a lot of support, man. The mayor, everybody, and that's some history that's going to live forever here in Cleveland. Right. It was pretty good.
Yeah, so we talk about that. Like, in 2007, you answered the call to open the Ginn Academy, all boys high school. What was that? How did that come about? I know that's been your vision for a while.
Well, it came about for a lot of reasons. It's the same thing I seen in football. I was kind of running the school in the basement of Glenville, just with my football team, just making sure they was eligible, making sure they get the right classes, make sure they come to school. So I was really charting the kids in attendance, behavior, and academics. So I was doing it as a security guard in the basement, and I had a principal that allowed me to get a couple of teachers just to teach the kids football team, to make them come to school, because I want them to get scholarships, make sure they're getting the right courses, making sure they were getting the right core courses to do their work. And I was so successful. I said, well, it's not fair for me to do this with them. And we got all these other kids here and boys that need to have the right understanding. So it was just studying education, and I made my school based off of what I did on the football team, and what I did as the link between the house and the school. So that's what I call youth support. So I started reproducing myself, and I got like 15 guys like me. They got their cohort of kids, and they do the same thing I was doing there. And I built Ginn Academy just like I built the football team. You know what I'm saying? And then we've been successful for 16 years, and 98% graduation rate. And we go get them. You know what I'm saying? And we make them come to school. Matter of fact, today I just sent home 5 of my best kids in the school. And they football players, but I didn't like their behavior. So you do certain things differently. We ain't suspending, we ain't writing referrals. We give you a timeout. And the timeout really, in a normal school, they probably wouldn't have did nothing. But I got to teach you, if you're going to be a professional guy, these are the things you can't do. So it's just giving the kids an individual life plan and getting love and passion and understanding on how it goes and how you're going to live in corporate America, and just building young men to be men.
So what are some of the life skills you and your staff are imparting to these young men outside of sports? Just what are some of those life skills?
It's teaching them how to be a man, teaching them how to be respectful, teaching them how to talk, how to carry themselves, all the core values that kids need to learn from home, which we know that the home is broken, the family broke. So we teach them everything on how to live and how to survive and how to be respectful in the world, and how to seize the opportunity for success, which if you don't expose them to nothing, they don't know nothing. We can teach them math, science, social studies, English. Those are requirements. But the love, passion, and understanding is something different. That's the curriculum here. You know what I'm saying?
As as we begin to wrap up and turn the corner, it's been great catching up with you. This show is about being a baller and leaving a lifelong legacy. As you think about this, what is the legacy of Ted Ginn Sr.?
That he was a servant, that he's going to serve. He's going to be obedient to the gift that God left for us to serve. And that means I did everything that I supposed to do as my part of being on this earth, to give people opportunity, to teach people to gain opportunities, to serve, to have love and passion and understanding for people and putting them in position for life.
Well, Coach, I want to thank you for your time. Most importantly, I want to thank you for answering that call, long, and knowing your purpose, and that is to serve, as you said. You've definitely been on that front line serving, because a lot of people see this, they don't know where Glenville is. Me being from Cleveland, I know where you practice on that little dirt field over there. I know exactly, and I know every year y'all had to come down the street to play us because y'all ain't had no field.
That's right.
A home game against us.
Even we thought was rich people.
Yeah, y'all come right under that bridge, right there. We be waiting on y'all. We got y'all sometimes, y'all got us sometimes, but just the things that you've done in that space, you've taken with God. The Bible says this: if you faithful with few things, it'll make you ruler over many.
That's right.
You have been faithful with few things, and now God has elevated you to be ruler over many. You have your own school. Now, when you talk about that basement, I met with you down in that basement. I know where you was at down there chasing keys, security guard.
Office.
Oh yeah, I know exactly. I know where you were. And now look at God. Look what God can do if we just turn it over to Him. So I just want to thank you for your time, and I appreciate you and all that you're doing. So thanks, Coach, for building that legacy.
All right.
This brings us to the end of this episode. Thanks to our special guest, Coach Ted Ginn of Cleveland Glenville High School, for sharing his wisdom and many decades on how to build a football program based on faith. Thank you for joining us during this enlightening and informative discussion on building a legacy in sports. Hope this episode was beneficial to you. And as always, thanks for listening to Be a Baller podcast.
If you enjoy our show, please share this podcast with your family and friends. Be a Baller podcast is available on all major podcast stations. Be sure to come back next week as we continue to discuss on how to build a lifelong legacy. Until then, don't forget to be a baller. This podcast was created by Coach Tim Brown. It was edited by Teron Howell and produced and recorded by the video production class of Worthington Christian High School.